All right, good evening. The City of Plymouth Planning Commission meeting for Thursday, December 19th, 2024 is now called to order. Members of the public not attending in person may submit written public comment prior to the meeting by emailing your comment to the Planning Commission Secretary at dknight@cityofplymouth.org before 3:30 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Email public comments will be distributed to the commission and made part of the official record. This meeting will be recorded. Council chambers are wheelchair accessible. Special accommodations may be requested by contacting the commission secretary 72 hours in advance of the meeting. Please silence all cell phones or similar devices. And can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Kozar is absent. Commissioner Clapper,
Present.
Commissioner Shaw,
Present.
Vice Chair Sullivan,
Present.
Chair Mickelson.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item 2, approval of the planning commission regular meeting agenda for December 19th, 2024. We have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the regular meeting agenda.
And a second, please.
I second.
And then can we have a roll call?
Commissioner Clapper,
Yes.
Commissioner Shaw,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sullivan,
Yes.
Chair Mickelson. Thank you. Motion passes.
We can move on to number 3, which is public comment. Under the provisions of the California Code, citizens wishing to address the commission for any matter not on the agenda may do so at this time by completing and submitting a speaker's middle form to the planning commission secretary while following the instructions noted on this agenda. Speakers will be called by the chair at the point of the agenda when their item will be heard. Speakers should keep their comments to 3 minutes or less and state their name and community of residence. Under provisions of the California Government Code, the commission is prohibited from materially discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda unless it can be demonstrated to be of an emergency nature or an urgent need to take immediate action arose after the posting of the agenda. And do we have any public comment? And see none, we'll close public comment. And we'll move on to item 4, which is presentations, which we do not have any. Item 5 is the consent calendar. 5.1 is the approval of the Planning Commission regular meeting minutes of October 17th, 2024. And we will open it up to public comment. Close public comment. And do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I make a motion to approve the consent calendar. I'll second that.
And I will call please.
Commissioner Clapper,
Yes.
Commissioner Shaw,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sullivan,
Yes.
Chair Mickelson.
Yes.
Thank you. Consent calendar passes.
Okay, item 6, public hearings. 6.1. Adopt a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Plymouth recommending the City Council approval of initial study negative declaration for the 2021-2029 housing element, and a resolution recommending the City Council adopt a general plan amendment repealing the 2013 to 2021 Plymouth housing element and adopt the Amber County's 6th cycle 2021 to 2029 housing element as a general plan in compliance with the state housing element law. And we'll get started there, open up for public comment. Close public comment, and I'll turn it over to Eric.
Dana, can I have my presentation, please?
Yes.
The next, sit down to one.
So tonight we're here to look at the city of Plymouth's housing element. Oops. The housing element is part of the general, the general plan and analyzes the housing needs and constraints within Amador County and its local cities. Each local government in California is actually required to have their own housing element. Go back one minute.
Sorry.
And they must be updated every 8 years within Amador County. The housing element lays out the policies and goals and programs to guide housing related actions for each jurisdiction within the county, within our countywide element. Next one, please. So for the 2021 to 2029 6 cycle housing element period, the cities of Amador County, as well as the county, combined together to do a countywide housing element. Each jurisdiction within Amador County has their own annex that provides this information specific to each jurisdiction. So the city of Plymouth has their own annex, and it provides detailed information regarding housing, housing conditions, population, and other required information within our annex. So it is separated that. The county and each city is adopting their housing elements separately. I believe we are the last. We are the last to adopt. Everyone else has, and their housing elements are currently with HCD. I believe only one may have been certified as of now. I think it's the county, so I'm not 100% sure on that. As part of this housing element, the city of Plymouth also prepared a draft initial study negative declaration, and that was to evaluate the potential environmental impacts associated with our housing element. The draft housing element was actually submitted to HCD on May 8th, 2023. Now this was an informal review. Wasn't a formal submittal. HCD did make comments. And those comments are incorporated into the version that you have today. So you can see a number of underlined, strike through text within the document. That is all changes that were made as a result of cities submitting their housing element previously. And that is the housing element that we're considering today with all those changes. Next slide, please. One of the most important factors that we have to accommodate within our housing element, and we have discussed this before when we were discussing multifamily, is each county is allocated their regional housing needs, their RHNA numbers. So the county is given a set of numbers from the state, and then each city within the county gets their own RHNA numbers. So as you can see from this chart, for the 6th cycle, we needed 7 very low income dwelling units. We need 5 low, 5 moderate, and we needed 13 above moderate. When looking at the 4th and 5th cycle, we have exceeded our requirement for above moderate, and so we do not have to worry about that. But we have not been building our very low and low numbers. So we do have carryover numbers. So the total number of affordable units that we needed to plan for in the 6th cycle was 45. So 45 is, we have to show that we can accommodate those within the city. We don't have to physically build it, we have to show that we can accommodate it during this cycle. Next one, please. Public participation has been very important throughout this. The draft housing element was released for public review from November 10th, 2022 through December 14th, 2022. That was countywide. And the comment period was then extended to January 9th. Some comments were received during that comment period. Those comments were ultimately wrapped up into the housing element to the extent possible. 2 informational meetings were also held around that time for anyone in the public to attend to get more information. The city of Plymouth held a joint study session between the planning commission and the city council on December 12th, 2022. Some of you were on that commission. And this current draft, the one that's before you tonight, was re-released for public review from November 1st through December 2nd because it had been changed so much. And because we also had the companion initial study negative declaration. Both were posted on our website. So we had a comment period that was open for both. We did not receive any comments on the housing element. I have one comment on the initial study negative declaration, which I will discuss when we get to that section. Next slide, please. There are several required components of the housing element. There's the housing need assessment, evaluation of past performance, housing sites inventory, community engagement, constraints analysis, policies and programs, and affirmatively furthering fair housing. All those sections are contained within the draft housing element that you have before you. If you have questions on, when we get to the end, if you have questions on what any of these sections mean, I'm happy to go over it. It is in the staff report, but I'd rather spend more time on the more important things for the city, so I'm gonna kind of leave it there for now. Unless you have questions up now or at the end. So one of the most important parts of the housing element to me and to you is, while we have done all this background information, what does it mean? What does it mean when I have to provide so many housing units within the city? What does it mean when I have to ensure that housing production is forward in the city? So in the first part of the housing element that you have before you, that is where the plan of action is for the next several years till 2029. And this is what the city is agreeing to do to meet what the state is asking us to do based on the background information that we have kind of compiled on the city and our resources right now. So there are several programs within it, and I'll go over them because this is really from today, once it's adopted by the city council and then certified by the state, hopefully, we have to begin working on these. So program number one was the countywide housing group, and we have actually already started this. So the planning directors within Amador County meet on a regular basis to discuss some of the policies and programs within the housing element, how we can help each other out and move forward and achieve our goals. Next slide, please. Goal H1 within it is housing diversity. So there are several programs within that. We have the housing element monitoring and reporting, that's required anyways. We have adequate sites. That one second bullet is wrong, I don't know why I put it there. I'll talk about something else, I'll ignore that second bullet, we'll go over that in a second. Program 4, accessory dwelling units, junior accessory dwelling units, and SB 9 units, we need to update our muni code for that. So as we've already talked about it, we already know that we need to do it. And then we have a program for affordable housing land acquisition, that is sort of something that the county would be working on together to see if we can get that. Next slide. Goal H2 is housing and neighborhood preservation and improvement, and we have several programs under that, kind of aimed at both preserving existing opportunities, neighborhood beautification and housing rehabilitation, seeking funds where we can to achieve these goals. Next slide, please. Fair housing is a bigger one. We have a number of programs within here that requires the city to conduct outreach, again, to ensure fair housing, to provide reasonable accommodations when necessary, to compile resources for people so that there are no resources that people can access. So again, these are the action plans for the city. They don't have to be done tomorrow. It doesn't have to be done within a year. We just have to do it within the 6 cycle period. So we do have until 2029 to do all of these things. Next slide. Goal H4 is advancing opportunities. As you can see here, I mean, we do have some things within here, such as working on water and wastewater infrastructure. As we know, water and wastewater can be a barrier to housing. How do we work around that? Creating partnerships with affordable housing developers. There aren't that many in the area, but we'll continue to try to see if we can get more opportunities. We have other things to do within this section, the most important being that, as you can see, program 17 requires some amendments to our zoning code. So we've already talked about ADUs, and that would be an amendment. We have others that we need to work on. We need to allow for transitional and supportive housing. We did actually just talk about that recently with some amendments to the code. Residential care facilities, again, we just recently talked about that. That will hopefully go before the city council soon, those changes to the use list to allow some of these things, so we're ahead of the game. But it was delayed due to a lack of quorum, so maybe in January, but I'm thinking maybe February at this point. Also, we need application streamlining for specific affordable projects, and that's based in law, so it's something we need to accommodate anyways, but the state would like us to put it in our zoning ordinance. Again, performing code review to make sure that, is there anything else within our municipal code that staff or the city or planning commission, even city council feels that should be changed to reduce any barriers to affordable housing. And a big one is program 22, which is where the city needs to look at our application processing procedures. Is it too difficult? Is it onerous? Are we limiting affordable housing based on our procedures? Again, the state does overrule us on a number of areas, especially for affordable housing, 100% affordable housing projects. So there is streamlined review available for them, but really the city does need to have that information available for everyone. Next slide, please. In case you are wondering, is there a penalty if we do not adopt our housing element? And why, yes, there is. If we do not adopt it, we could be referred to the Attorney General by HCD. There could be fines, significant ones for non-compliance. If we decided not to adopt it, a court could limit our local land use decision-making authority. There's also the builder's remedy, which means that a builder could come in, we have a non-compliant housing element, and they can put housing where they want it. So they don't have to conform to our local codes. The biggest one for us, though, I would say would be that we would lose out on grants and funding. And as a small city, it's important that we are able to get grants and funding to support us and to provide services for our community. So that's a big one for us if we do not adopt. Next slide, please. So our housing element was reviewed under the California Environmental Quality Act, and what was really reviewed is what are the policies and programs we have, do any of those cause an environmental impact? And then if we had to upzone, because remember arena numbers that we went over, if we had to upzone to accommodate any of those, then you would assume an environmental impact. Way back when, many months ago, we did discuss the potential of having to upzone some properties. And in a previous version of the housing element, we did have 2 parcels designated for upzone. Those parcels do not want to be upzoned, so they've been removed from the list. There was a person that came to the joint study session and said that he would like his property upzoned. I finally got a hold of him, spoke with him, and they did not want their property upzoned. But the good news was we didn't need anyone to upzone anyways, because we have adequate land on our housing opportunity sites list, and that's the very last page in the Plymouth Annex. It's a long list, an Excel list of properties, their development potential, and with existing land within the city, we can meet those RENA numbers. The most important was a property was left off the original list back in 2022, which made it look like we didn't have enough. But we do actually have a property zone with the overlay, which we accidentally found not that long ago. And so that helped us out. So they're designated multifamily, and with that, and with our existing parcels, we exceed the amount of housing that we could provide if everyone were to build tomorrow, let's say, exceeds what we need to have for our renters. So based on that, based on the review of the policies and goals within the housing element, and the fact that all of the existing sites are currently designated for residential, I need to upzone. I do not need to upzone or increase density within the city, so there are no changes there. The city prepared a negative declaration that determining that there was no significant environmental impact. Now, I will note that because those housing opportunity sites are currently designated in the general plan, we are relying on our 2008 general plan, because that general plan did evaluate environmental impacts of the general plan build out, which includes all those properties. So any mitigation measures contained within that general plan, EIR will continue to apply to the development of any of those parcels in the future. So with that being prepared, staff did send out, as required by law, for a 30-day public review period, and was posted on our website, and it was posted through the state's portal, which is Sequonet, so it was posted online in 2 places. And we did receive one comment letter, and it's from Caltrans. It is included in your packet. We're not required to do a response to comments in a negative or mitigated negative declaration. In this case, it's really not warranted. They're asking for environmental review for future projects, contacting them if we have projects, which is standard procedure anyways, and we will just continue to do so. Any project on Highway 49 or that has the potential to impact Highway 49, they are included in our initial review process, and so they're given an opportunity to look at the plans from the very beginning and provide comments, and we work with them if they do have comments.
And that was the one comment you.
That was the one comment, yeah, it's just from Caltrans. So based on that, we did so based on that, we're moving forward with the negative declaration for the housing. So what happens after today? We'll get to the next, after this slide, there's the next slide on what we're asking you to do, but hopefully after today, if you were to recommend approval of this, we will then schedule this for city council. We're anticipating to go to city council in January. We are trying to meet kind of an accelerated moving forward at this point, because this housing element was supposed to be certified in 2021, and we are now several years behind. Once the city council adopts it, we will then send it to HCD for formal review. I can be hopeful that they will certify it on the first review. I can't guarantee it. Usually cities do get a 1 to 2 comment letters, but we already have 1, so hopefully maybe minor comments, and then it will hopefully be certified quite soon. Next slide, please. So staff is recommending that you adopt 2 resolutions tonight. The first one would be resolution 2024-3, recommending city council approval of the initial study negative declaration for the housing element. And then the second one would be resolution 2024-4, recommending city council approval of a general plan amendment to repeal the 5th cycle housing element, which is currently still in effect, and replace it with the 2029 6th cycle housing. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I know this is a very deep subject and there's a lot going on with the housing element.
Great, thank you. Before we get into discussion, I do want to thank you. It's a very good presentation. It's a lot of information and it's very easy to understand for all the amount of paper we have. But with that, open up to commission discussion and start off with Mike. Any questions, comments?
No, I don't. I just, the staff report was great. It was informative, and it's nice to see that there aren't any real huge changes that we have to do to implement this. So I think that's great. It's great work.
Gail?
No, I do not.
Bill?
Just to confirm, this new housing element would need to be then recertified like 2030, sounds like, so another 5.
So once I send it to HCD, they either give me comments or they certify it, and you have to have a certified housing element. So it's really HCD stamping their seal on it. So let's say I have no comments and they certify it, but the timeline for the 6th cycle for Amador County, counties are different. So there are different dates for everyone's 6th cycle. So that I should have explained that before. Some counties have like a 2023 to, whatever, 2030 We are at 2021 to 2029, so our year cycle is different than some other counties around us. But in 2029, it's technically the expiration date of this housing element, we'll have to have a new one. So
So like to not get 3 years behind again, would we, you start looking at it like 2028 then? I know it's 4 years out, but
it is hard, most cities that I am working for or have friends that work for, they have not hit their deadline.
oh, okay, so it's not,
So there is a factor of getting your RENA numbers in, getting your RENA numbers assigned to you, and then the work begins. And then it's how do we accommodate it? What are the background conditions? That is an extreme amount of work you can see within that housing element. There's a lot of information within that, right? So all that background information is really necessary to create that part one of the housing element, which is these are our policies and programs, as well as your housing opportunity sites, because let's say that HCD told me I had to have 500 very low apartment units within, or dwelling units within the city. I couldn't accommodate that with our existing housing opportunity sites. Then you have to start talking, what do I have to do? Who do I have to upsell? Do I have to increase density in the city? The work that goes on is quite extensive.
Yeah.
Before you get to, here's your final document that you get to review. And then the second component with this is we have environmental work that needs to be done. Well, that can't be done until I have a draft document written. So waiting for that to be done, and then the work that the time involved with writing that negative declaration does take a while. And I think in this case, it's just taken us a little bit of time. It's hard to say like what kind of buffer do we need to give ourselves, but I can't start now because I don't know what my arena numbers are gonna be and I won't get them for a while. So it is one of those things where there's only so much we can do, I guess.
and then do you see any risks in the plan that we're potentially gonna approve that would make the state say, no, that's not, we're not gonna move forward with that?
I don't, for two reasons. One is that we are a smaller community. We do have some limitations, not terrible, but we do have some limitations. We do have the benefit of having that review, and they significantly commented, and so again, you can see within our annex, there's additional information, there's been some changes to the policies and programs, so we have that benefit of that initial review, and there was no like, oh my gosh, you guys are so off base, what are we gonna do? So we do have comments that we were able to address. I don't see anything in there as being, from my experience, as being something that HCD would have extreme concerns about right now. But you know, you never know, we never know what we'll get, but I think we're in a good position.
All right, thank you. And just one quick question, does HCD have to approve the negative deck, or is that just more of a supporting document?
It's the supporting document for the city, so similar to any project, when you're making an action on any item or a recommendation, such as we're doing in this case, you have to evaluate whatever it is under CEQA. So for example, when you recently reviewed the multifamily ordinance, the CEQA determination was that CEQA wasn't required because it wasn't a project, we weren't changing anyone's zoning, there was no potential environmental action at that point. Likewise, if you had a big 10-story building and you were reviewing it, you have to, what is the CEQA determination? But that is for that action that you are making. HCD, unless for some reason we decided to certify or adopt a housing element without CEQA, they're not involved in that portion. It's really the city studying the environmental impacts on the city.
I got one, not really about the content of this, but was doing this jointly with the county and the other cities, was that helpful, or was that slow things down, speed things up? Just curious, kind of a review on that process.
I think there's a little bit of a slowdown in the fact that it was a countywide housing element, but for other reasons that I don't think apply to it actually being a countywide housing element, it is nice having the program of the countywide planning directors group, because we all meet together on a regular basis, can hold ourselves accountable and also can help each other out. So it's a nice resource that we're, let's say, forced to have, but is really actually a really nice resource where we can talk through certain conditions within the county. Because Amador County is unique to Amador County. And also get the benefit of other experience from other planners, and what they've done throughout their career to help us kind of achieve these goals and programs that we have within the housing.
So probably next time, same process.
I don't know what's going to say.
Okay,
Money, cost, how the cities are gonna pay for it next time. The reason it's countywide too this time is we used countywide funds that we had to pay for that housing element update. That was also the big push to do a countywide housing element, is that there were funds for it. Who's to say for seventh cycle, we never know.
All right, any other discussion, questions? Okay, looks like we need two motions for two separate items. Do we have a motion for the first item?
sure, I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution 2024-3. The city of Plymouth recommending to city council approval of an additional study negative declaration for the 21 through 29 housing element.
A second,
I second.
and a roll call, please.
Commissioner Clapper,
Yes.
Commissioner Shaw, yes. Vice Chair Sullivan,
Yes,
Chair Mickelson.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. And a motion for the second resolution.
I'll do it. I'll make a motion that we recommend that the city council adopt general plan amendment repealing the 2013 to 2021 Plymouth housing element and adopting Amador County countywide cycle housing element of the general plan in compliance with the state housing element law by way of resolution 2024-4.
And we have a second,
I second.
and a roll call, please.
Commissioner Clapper,
Yes.
Commissioner Shaw, yes. Vice Chair Sullivan,
Yes,
Chair Mickelson.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, move to item 7, unfinished business, we have none. Item 8, new business, we have none. Item 9, reports. Any reports from the commission?
no,
No?
None?
Okay,
No.
and none for me. Eric, anything? City manager?
any new stuff going on since we last met? Any new things coming in progress on projects, anything like that?
Well, if you'd like to set project updates, we have, ARCO is still in progress, they need some additional changes to their mitigated negative declaration. So that is still underway, potential for planning commission, I don't know, we're several months out at this point. That mitigated negative declaration will be recirculated for public review, as we talked about before. Our other major project in right now is Greelage Ranch, which has been a project for quite a long time. They are trying to move forward again. There is a revised application to remove the expansion of the 49er Village and to just expand Greelage. We have a conceptual site plan in with staff. We have a draft development plan, book or complete letter was set, but staff continues to work on the mechanics of making a project of that size work and moving forward. That project will eventually have an EIR, and there was one that started previously under the prior project. Recently, we did just send out 2 notices of projects, notices that we will make a decision. One is for the 49er Village RV park. They are proposing to reconfigure where the the RVs come and check in. So it's all internal to the site, it's not at Highway 49, it's up in the site. But they are proposing to reconfigure that check-in area to make it more smooth. As part of that, it's gonna remove some RV slots. And some landscaping. And then they will replace some of the landscaping. So that's been posted out home. It is posted at RV, at the 49er Village RV Park. But if I hear no objections, we will issue a decision. I believe it's December 30th is when the decision will be. The second one is for our Veterans Park. There is an application to add 2 murals to the fence. And replace the existing walkways with concrete, as well as replace the trash cans and recycling bins. And again, that's been noticed both in the hall and on the site. They were noticed on the same date, so if I hear no objections, I will issue a decision December 30th. If anyone is interested, we do have project plans available for those.
Anything with the hotel?
The hotel, I was just gonna say that, hotel.
Hotel.
The hotel remains incomplete, and I have had no action from them in many months.
Great, thank you, I appreciate that.
The two you mentioned on the 49er Village Veterans Park, those are simply just improvements.
Those are staff level, it's a minor design review, so per our code, the notice has to be published or posted for 10 days, and then I can approve it. So you will not see this.
Well, thank you again, really appreciate it, and with that, we will adjourn the meeting at 7:06.